We have this story from Timcast.com. Popular Twitch streamers Hasan, Piker, and Vaush banned from platform for racism against white people. Huh. Literally. Now, I'm actually going to, I've got some criticism for, first, I've got criticism for Hasan, absolutely. But I've got criticism and some defense for Vaush. Vaush, I don't think cared at all, overtly stated he was going to say the racial slur, laughed, got banned, and laughed again. So my attitude towards Vaush is, if you publicly say these companies are private companies, they can ban whoever they want, and if you use a slur, you'll get banned, and then you literally go on the channel laughing, saying you're going to do it, I'm like, yeah.
Respect it.
Like, you're just trolling. He knew he was going to get banned. It's not hypocritical. I just think he shouldn't be saying the racial slurs, and I think he has bad ideas on, massive multinational corporations. But I'm not going to say it's hypocritical for him to be laughing about it. Now, Hasan is the guy who actually puts out videos where he says that people on the right should follow the rules and they just want to make their own right-wing echo chamber and own the libs. But because they break the rules, they get banned. Well, he literally went on his channel and said that he's allowed to say racial slurs, particularly if they're against white people. And now he's gotten a ban for it. The important thing here is Twitch bans are not bans. They're like, they'll reinstate you at some point. So they don't call it suspension or whatever. It's the weirdest thing. They're like, I got banned for this. And then, but they reinstate you tomorrow. It's not really a ban.
Yeah, they're going to be back, I think, in a very short time, especially with their user base, whatever they have, saying, hey, please get these people back on these platforms. But I still don't understand why people have to describe other people as salty, delicious snacks. I don't get it.
What is that reference to? Delicious. Luke's a big fan of Cracker Barrel. It's his favorite restaurant.
I absolutely love Cracker Barrel.
So anyway, I think you know what word was used. And no, I'm pretty sure on YouTube you're allowed to say cracker and Karen and all that stuff because YouTube agrees with Hasan in the context. Twitch apparently doesn't, which is weird. Now, I will say, though, I don't think you can call someone a cracker. What happened was I think Hasan directly said, you are an effing B.A., There you go.
In general, you want to avoid calling people names
I agree.
On social media. That draws the ire of admins. Even if it's a nice word, if you use it as a name-calling tactic.
But here's the craziest thing to me. When it comes to the idea of left or right in terms of the economic sense, Vaush and Hasan, and I normally don't like to talk about like other internet personalities, but this is relevant towards the conversation of the commons. And these are two of these are two of the biggest commentators on the internet. Hasan, I believe, is the biggest on the left. How is it that we here at Timcast.RL are to the left of them when it comes to this particular issue? I'm not going to pretend we're to the left of them on a bunch of issues relating to businesses, but we are to the left, or at least in the lower quadrant towards libertarian.
Yeah, I think when it comes to social media, this is more about authoritarianism and libertarianism, statism versus freedom, more so than it is about left versus right. Where I fall relative to Hasan and them, I don't know, but I think I'm definitely on the libertarian aspect.
But this is the reason why I say we're to the left. Even Luke is to the left of them on this issue, is that what we're talking about is private corporate power taking over the commons. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. have seized the spaces in which we communicate and started exerting their will to force politics in a certain direction. That is not government. That is not state. That is private power that has built up enough of it to seize the commons. Now, I'm pretty sure, Luke, you're opposed to censorship on these platforms.
Absolutely. And especially the collusion that a lot of these big tech companies, including Amazon, have with the Pentagon, have with the CIA, and how much they work hand in hand together, which makes them not a private entity, but a quasi-state private entity that, of course, colludes together for the personal benefit of the ruling elites and creates billionaires that have way too much power, way too much control, only because of the government allowing them to have this. So I wouldn't even argue on the absolutely fascistic. I wouldn't even argue that I'm on the left. Again, the spectrum is either you're a statist or you believe in freedom. I believe in absolute freedom. Stop having multinational corporations colluding with Jeff Bezos, with Amazon, with Prime, with Twitch and all that. It's just too much government interference, too much policy directed in the benefit of them that's screwing everyone else over, giving an unfair advantage to regular competitors.
To an extent, but Gab, Minds, Rumble, Odyssey, all these platforms exist. The issue is they have monopoly power.
Exactly. Right. Well, if you look at a lot of the infrastructure that Facebook, that Google, that Amazon have built, they have built it on U.S. tax-paying dollars that, of course, incentivized and worked with the intelligence agencies and a lot of other people within the Pentagon that helped them have an unfair advantage on everyone else. So when you look at the collusion that's been happening, I would argue that it is absolutely not a private enterprise. It is an enterprise that, of course, has its benefits. And just like it hit people on the right, it's eventually going to hit people on the left, because censorship, of course, knows no bounds. Eventually, it has in this instant, but they're going to get their channel back. But later down the line, I think this larger kind of censorship stick that hit the right predominantly more than the left is eventually going to wipe anyone else who has even a smidget of anti-establishment within them.
Smidget?
Yeah, smidget. Like a little
smidgen?
Like a smidget.
Smidget.
Smidget. That's a word, right?
I love it.
Smidget
I
is
don't
a
know
word.
what's
If
smidgen.
any-
Well,
But I like smidget.
I'm curious as to what your stance is on.
I radically err on the side of individualism and free markets, but I do understand how difficult it is if you're looking at Google, which may have a 100-year monopoly on the search engine before anyone really competes with them. So we're talking about an issue that could take the course of our lifetimes to correct. But what kind of action do we want to see on that front? Do we want our corrupt Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi coalition, do we want them to deal with it, or do we want individuals to deal with it somehow? Obviously, there's no perfect answer to this, because we would have had a solution already. And as Tim said, there's Rumble, there's all these other startup sites. Donald Trump's getting in the mix with a social media site. We'll see what happens. But I think Google, uncontested, has the biggest monopoly, and they are the biggest threat, as opposed to Facebook. Maybe who knows what kind of staying power they have. Twitter, they might self-immolate at this point with their woke CEO and the social justice warriors that run the site. But I think Google has a very serious monopoly. They not only have a monopoly on the search, but they have a monopoly over our minds, essentially, because it's so 99 point whatever % of the population still uses Google. You're getting all of your results from Google. Google is like a state, as Luke said, is basically like a state enterprise at this point, and it's a very much a threat to our civilization.
For the fans of Vaush and Hasan who may end up watching this or maybe watching it, I'll give you a very simple explanation for the issue with control of the commons. So would you agree that conservatives don't want to use preferred pronouns? I think the answer, most people, regardless of left or right, would say, well, of course, conservatives don't want to use someone's preferred pronouns. So on Twitter, for instance, and many other platforms, they enforce the use of these pronouns. Now, if you're on the left, you may agree with that. I'm not telling you you're not allowed to feel that way. By all means, you can have that opinion. Okay, I respect you having your right to your opinion. The issue then becomes, if that is clearly and discernibly a left-wing position and the right is at odds with it, the rules on Twitter directly and negatively impact the right and not the left. That is a rule on the platform. Dead naming is banned. This is overt. Now, you can say, and what the left typically says is Tim's arguing in favor of transphobia or whatever. I never said that. I'm saying just understand, if conservatives say, I don't want to use your pronouns, then the rules favor the left. Ergo, you are in a left-wing echo chamber where big tech firms are controlling the narrative and forcing it in a certain direction. Now, of course, for many on the left, they're like, well, that's good because they're pushing my ideas. Great. By all means, feel that way. But now don't deny that the rules are absolutely set up to be a negative, to be detrimental to the right. And probably because the people who run these companies agree with you on those opinions. Well, when you've got, 80 or so million people in this country who don't agree with that, then I think it's fair to say we have a very serious problem. Now, Hasan has done one of the videos I watched from him recently was him talking about the right doesn't want to use conservative platforms because they want to own the libs. And what they don't understand, what Hasan needs to understand, is it's not about owning the libs, because obviously, Hasan, you do content where you own the cons. I mean, that's a common thing regardless of your political faction. It's the issue that Twitter owns the commons. They own it. Parler doesn't have nearly enough people to even talk to debate, to question, to engage with. The same is true for Rumble. The same is true for Minds. These are platforms, good for them. Getter. I mean, it's great they exist. but people want to be in the comments. They want to walk up to their neighbor and say, I humbly disagree. And some of them want to screech. Well, we don't like it when people screech, but how are you even supposed to debate the idea of misgendering if you get banned before you can even say it? So imagine if you went to the town square and the mayor was using the police force to beat you and kick you out because you said Black Lives Matter. And that happens too, and it's wrong. The rules are absolutely slanted, and that's a problem.
Yeah, we're also being ruled by algorithms that can't really figure out discernment. So whenever you say something that's on Google's no talk list, they will hit you no matter what the context. And a lot of individuals do get hit, especially smaller channels, smaller individuals with less subscribers who, of course, are trying to legitimately talk about an issue. But because of YouTube stigmatization, they can't. There's so many history channels on YouTube that got nuked, that got utterly destroyed for simply just talking about history and a perspective that is important to understand, but you can't on YouTube because of the algorithm, because of AI deciding if you're going to have a voice in our current society. And that to me is absolutely ridiculous. And when the left was celebrating this kind of political censorship, cheering it on, I said, it's only a matter of time until they get you. I think we're reaching that kind of major bridge that it's affecting them, and I think it's only going to affect them more, just like Antifa. They use Antifa. The state knows everything that Antifa does. They know all the individuals are part of their institutions. The intelligence agencies have a database of all their names. They're going to use them, but after they're done taking out the people on the right, that's the next people that are going to go after.
Let me just stress, when it comes to the January 6th committee, they just got the text messages from how many people? Members of Congress?
Yeah. Mainstream media journalists.
Donald Trump Jr., journalists.
Yep.
Yeah.
They just went to the phone companies and said, we'd like their private communications. And they went, you got it, boss. And then they released it to the public.
Amazing.
Yep.
Now, somebody chatted us. Have we ever had Michael Malice and Vaush on at the same time? That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, it does.
I don't know if you guys, Vaush or Michael, you'd want to be down for something like that. But, I was like, I don't want to keep just having the same people on, but that actually does sound like a fun show. You know, I wonder,
Spicy.
because Michael's just like overtly anarchist and Vaush says he's a libertarian socialist, so I think there'd be a really interesting conversation there. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here. We'll reach out and see what people are up
do.
to. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.